get to Commissioner Rob Manfred meeting with the Philadelphia Phillies on Monday. And Nick Castellanos was the guy who went on record to talk to Hannah about how it went. How did it go for that 1 hour? Heated. Indirect salary cap push with his rhetoric. Shocker. He said at times the conversation did get heated enough for players to express some version of, well, in that case, you can leave, to the commissioner. But ultimately, he said he thought it was a productive dialogue, yet the vibe was labor lawyer against players that are not nearly as educated on the topic because that's not their job. He also said, quote, no one was physically assaulted. Here's some of the notes from Hannah in the bandwagon about how it all went down. And when he was asked if he explicitly brought up a cap, he said, quote, he was very eloquently speaking around it. And then he also even went as far as floating counter proposals. So he is in full on strategy mode right now, Trevor. And at least with the Phillies, you're picking the wrong fight because you got some dudes that will speak up and they've got dirt in their spikes, meaning they've been in the league for a while.
Yeah. They're guys who also played for a period of time with some of the most active leaders in the subcommittee, namely like Bassett and Max Scherzer. Like, so they've been trained by the best as well and heard those guys and how informed they are. This is all very interesting, and I think that it's all part of a strategy. We're seeing Rob show up in a lot of places that he actually hasn't ever been before. We saw him talk to McAfee, saw him talk to Big Cat over on Barstool recently, which was surprising to me because he doesn't usually do interviews very often. And he's also on this tour in the middle of the season before these conversations happen. And I think this is a little bit of being able to sneak in before the PA starts to have their preliminary conversations as well. The armor to inform these players, get them before they are informed on the situation. I think that is very much part of the strategy. But it is good to see that the Phillies kind of push back on a lot of stuff. And I hear a lot of comments from the commissioner. And let me be very clear here. I'm trying, it's really, really hard, but I'm trying to just see this from as objective a direction as possible, because he is a labor lawyer. He said it himself, actually, with McAfee, when he was asked about the comment he made about the hunk of metal, calling the World Series trophy that. And he said, you know what, I'm a lawyer by trade, and I tend to try to I'll say things that maybe aren't in good taste in order to make my case. Case in point, we're going to see a lot of that, and he admitted that he does that. So this is something you can point out pretty regularly. But he says a lot of things without any substance, like the economic system isn't working. How? Like, what isn't working? Because last year was the highest revenues ever. So those two things don't really line up for the layman, for anybody. Like, wait, most money ever, economic system isn't working. So who's it not working for? How's it not working? That is a question that I've never heard him answer with any definitive bullet point list or anything specific. And I think that the players are a little bit frustrated. Like, you saying things are broken, but you're unwilling to prove that anything. How? So I think we hear this a lot in the world these days. It's a lot of what and not a lot of how. And I think we're to the point where, like, okay, we get it. What's the next step? Like, what do you want to do? And then we can have that discussion. That's called a good faith conversation. But we can't have that right now. And I think that the Phillies players picked up on that.
Yeah, he wants to get as much as he can, Cam, out of this last CBA that he's going to negotiate. He's the CEO. He works for the owners.
Yeah, I always like to defer to Trev on this. And I want to ask Trev if he ever heard this song I heard earlier today. He said some stuff, but is it true? His name is Rob Manfred. That's it. I defer to Trev on that. I love the jingle. I'm going to keep getting my news from Trev. He explained it perfectly. You're right. It's just there's a lot of skating and dancing around points when we're not getting actual answers. And this is why I think I think this is in favor of the players and why there may end up being a lockout, because there's so much truth that just goes, that just doesn't get talked about, right? And we see this, we know it. Yeah, and I think Nick Castellanos is, his whole comments, it was productive, but at least nobody was harmed. I think that says it all, right? Guys are tired of it. And then let me say this. Trevor hit all the great points. Why would you go talk to the Phillies of all teams after the All-Star whole debacle, with the Phillies speaking out even more publicly about how upset they were with the process of baseball? So I don't know. I love Trev hit it, but it's just, what a bad team to pick to go talk to. How about that?
Yeah, that's true. It's on the schedule.
Yeah, it was on schedule.
Like bad
It was on
timing. You're
schedule.
the commissioner. We got. You know what? We're gonna go somewhere else. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to Pittsburgh. Let's go to Milwaukee. Let's go try to get these guys. Let's go try to convince these guys. Like
He could have.
That was a bad place to
Yeah.
go.
Well, trust me, that is happening, and I'll be honest. The vote for the last lockout, guys, was 8-0 in favor of continuing it by the subcommittee. The 4 teams that those members of the subcommittee were on all voted no. The other 26 voted yes. So, like, he sees an opportunity to talk to teams that don't have representation that are the most educated on the subject and get them to vote in their favor. Like that is what this is. He saw that and is doing this. Like, it's pretty clear. But at the end of the day, if I can leave you one thing before we finish up this segment, just from the player standpoint, it's just about maintaining the fairness and making sure that the revenue shares and the competitive balance are being adjusted accordingly based on how the game changes every 5 years. It's fairness at the end of the day. If there's a problem, let's agree on what the problem is and let's discuss what it is. The problem is we have not agreed on what the problem is in the last 2 CBAs, and that you can't have a good faith conversation until you establish the rules. So that is what we're looking at doing, and just pay attention on both sides, whether or not they're doing that or not.